I'd like to welcome you to this course on preschoolers. I must say that preschoolers are, I think, my favorite people. In fact, I love preschoolers. I love their integrity. I love their transparency. They are fascinating psychologically. They qualify for about 6 different diagnoses without even trying. Obsessive compulsive disorder, bipolar disorder, attention deficit disorder, oppositional defiant disorder. And we're just beginning. And it's all there. If you understand the preschooler, you've got the keys for everything you would possibly want to know. This is what I found out. I started off with adults, and I went to adolescents. And then finally, when I got to working and consulting with preschoolers, the parents, the adults that were involved in preschoolers and working with preschoolers, did it all come together for me. So it's a privilege to be able to teach this course, bring all the pieces together. My heart goes out to preschoolers. I do believe that there's probably no group that is more misunderstood. They are brazen, yes. They are obsessive often. They are precocious, hysterical. They are impulsive, compulsive, anything but consistent. And we shall see that is all the way it should be. There is a reason for this. And that is important to understand. We don't get preschoolers often because they are not like us. And that is important. They are not like us, and we should not be like them. If we are like them, there is a problem. To try to make them like us is where most people involved are trying to do, and this is a problem. The appropriate analogy here would be caterpillars and butterflies. Related, yes. Fundamentally different creatures, yes. And I'm so glad butterflies have not yet figured out how to train caterpillars to be butterflies, because it would be a royal flunk if they did. And so this is the problem that we have, is we think that preschoolers are like us, just little versions of us, little miniature adults. And so the whole issue is to try and get them to be more like us so that they can fit in adult society. And as we go along, we'll find out that is where the greatest concern was. Piaget, one of the greatest developmental theorists and scientists, studied preschoolers, and that was his primary conclusion, is they are not like us, and that is why, and that is what we need to understand. Now, if society was in sync with developmental design, we would not need this course. If it was in sync with developmental design, we'd have culture, traditions, and rituals. We wouldn't have expectations on preschoolers that really didn't fit. But they're not like us, again, and so we need to understand them from inside out. And as I've subtitled it is what every young child needs us to know about them. The material in this course is applicable in every age, in every arena, largely because if the preschooler doesn't grow out of that time, we still have all kinds of traits of the preschooler that continue on. I call it the preschooler syndrome. So understanding this is important. Now, the organization of the course is divided into 4 sections of approximately an hour and a half each. And each hour and a half section is divided into approximately half-hour modules. And so this enables this course to be taken in half-hour chunks, in hour chunks, or hour and a half chunks. Design the course this way because I realize that there are many individuals from a wide variety of venues, daycare providers, preschool teachers, early childhood educators, parents and grandparents who will be taking this course and need to divide it into sometimes small chunks of time. So hopefully this course will work in this way. Fortunately, there's no exam at the end of this course. The only challenge is for you to make sense of the preschoolers in your life, in your care. And that will be the test of the course at the end of the day if you can do this. So we'll begin with section 1, 3 natural shortcomings not to trip over. 3 natural shortcomings not to trip over. By natural mean that they're completely inherent to the preschooler period. These are significant ways in which they are not like us. We can't use our own, in a sense, of empathy in this way, because we're not going from our place in this. And again, we should not be like them. The 3 shortcomings are: first of all, their untempered nature. Temper comes from Latin, it means mix. Preschoolers have great difficulty mixing anything. They are one at a time creatures. One element, one emotion, one thought, one perspective, and this will be very, very significant. This is one way in which we should not be like them, and they should not be like us. And so they're untempered in both their experience and expression. They are inconsiderate of context and others. Or if they're very considerate of you at this moment in time, they completely do not consider themselves. And so there is a problem here, again, that they are one at a time individuals. This is meant to be as we'll go along. And thirdly, they have phenomenal separation problems. They are very affected by physical separation. They don't like being apart. Togetherness is their primary concern, and they have great difficulty holding on when physically apart. So we're going to take a look at each one of these. We're going to flesh these out. This will be the theme of our first section. And our goal is to make sense of them, not only to make sense of them from inside out, but also to understand nature's reason. Why? Why? Is it because there's something wrong? Is it simply a deficit that needs to be overcome? Is it a mistake, or is it part of design? And as we go along in this course, hopefully you'll begin to have a lot of confidence that there is a plan. There is a plan. And if we honor that plan and assist in that plan, the preschooler will become truly, will move into much more the adult kind of version, which they should not be at that point. Now I'm going to start with something with the untempered nature. I'm going to start with this. But in this, take a look at some of the traits that stem from their untempered nature. I'm calling this a Preschooler Personality Profile. And altogether, we're going to have 24 traits that are characteristic. We'll cover them in this section. 24 traits that are characteristic of the preschooler, that are not genetic. So you can't blame your in-laws, or your parents, or your spouse, and they're not learned. And these simply come, these are all inherent. Every preschooler shares these. This is what they all have in common. That's why there is a preschooler personality. And these come from certain developmental places. We'll start with preschoolers. They have a purity of emotion. Their emotions are pure. They're unsullied. There is no mixture in this. There is no on the other hand. They do not say, I feel rather ambivalent today. I have double feelings. They're not bothered by on the other side or on the other hand. And because of this, they have an innocent belief in magic. They're not troubled by a Santa Claus on this corner and another Santa Claus on that corner. It completely misses them, and it should miss them. And you can do the most wonderful games with them, magic forks to feed them by, things that appear and disappear, and all kinds of things, but they do have a wonderful belief in magic, a certainty in their thinking. They are absolutely sure. Once they've arrived at a thought, it is the thought. They do not doubt themselves. They have a wonderful certainty in their thinking. They're not bothered by shades of gray. They're driven by one emotion at a time, and they act out of that emotion. That emotion determines their behavior. They're impulsive, and because they're impulsive, it means that only one emotion can be expressed at a time, and so the emotions have to take turns. And they can be afraid, but you don't see any fear in them because they were excited right then. And then later on, all the fear comes out. It's always one at a time. This is very important to understand, because unless adults get this, they don't get a lot of things about the preschooler and think there's something wrong. They're short-sighted. They're unable to make sacrifices towards a goal. If you promise them an ice cream cone now, or 4 ice cream cones maybe tomorrow, they'll be a sucker for the ice cream cone now every time. Well, it is now that is important. They're not worried about the future. They're unreliable. They know much better than they behave. You can even, please, how many times have I told you now? Please eat with your mouth closed, and, wait to talk until mommy's finished talking, and so on. And they'll interrupt your interrupting of them, or do this. They know much better. It said, didn't we talk about this? Yes. Why did you do this? I don't know. They have no clue. Their good intentions are easily eclipsed by the impulse of the moment. And again, there's nothing wrong with this. As we look, this is part of design. They're terrible at problem solving. They only take one factor into consideration at any given time. And so they cannot solve any complex problem whatsoever. They can't even solve the problem of preferences. What would you like? Would you like the apple pie, or would you like the ice cream? Want the apple pie? No, the ice cream. No, the apple pie. No, the ice cream. And so you go on and on and on. They can't even figure that out in terms of how to solve that problem.